1935.
Of things.
What do you do? Who are you? You like learning about what's around you, asking questions and trying to find the answer.
Stephanie, want to play a game? It's called Butterfly Pursuit.
Sure.
All right. Here's how you play. I've got two groups of pictures. These are butterflies, and these are moths. They look a lot alike, but there's one thing about them that's quite different. Your job is to figure out what that one thing is that makes a butterfly different from a moth, and vice versa. Okay, you have 30 seconds.
How about color? No, there's a colorful moth, there's a colorful butterfly. Size? No, some butterflies are big, some butterflies are small. How about the number of legs?
Figuring out how to group living things according to a common feature is a very useful thing in science.
1, 2, 3. No, they all seem to have 6 legs. All insects have 6 legs.
Classifying animals can help you understand how they are related to each other and how they evolved.
How about the antennae?
You're getting warmer.
Okay, Stephanie. Count the antennae.
You're getting colder.
Antennae, antennae.
Warmer, warmer.
I've got it. The antennae are different. Moths have fuzzy antennae, and butterflies have smooth antennae with a little ball at the end.
Yes! For your outstanding achievement in the field of telling butterflies from moths, here is your prize. A moth hat.
Thanks, but I want the book too.
No problem. It's full of information about which animals are what and why, which can sometimes come in very handy.
On December 13, 1984, 2 F-18s were flying low on an exercise when an unknown object struck the windshield of one of the jets. It hit with such force that it shattered the glass windshield and even cracked the pilot's crash helmet. The jet went out of control, but the skilled pilot was able to regain control of his plane and land it safely. But what hit the windshield? While inspecting the cockpit, a few feathers were found. Could it possibly have been a bird? A detective was called in on the case.
A detective?
A detective who uses classification to solve mysteries.
Her name is Roxy Laybourne. She's an ornithologist at the Smithsonian Institute.
These are the bird remains that they sent to be identified.
They send you just these little bit of feathers to identify what kind of bird it was?
Sometimes I get less than that.
These hardly even look like feathers.
Well, when I clean them up, you'll see that they will look like feathers.
But how could a bird break a windshield?
Well, it depends upon the speed of the plane, how much damage the bird does, as well as upon the weight of the bird. And if it's a larger bird and the plane's going faster, it'll do more damage than if it's a small bird and the plane going slower. But even a small bird, if the plane's going at a high speed, will cause damage.
How come animals ever developed feathers in the first place?
Well, don't ask me that question.
Means there's something you don't know about birds?
Well, sure, there's plenty I don't know, but birds develop from reptiles, and the material on the scales of reptiles similar to the material in feathers, you say.
Oh, really?
But, yeah.
Well, what's the first thing we do to try and identify the feathers?
Well, you can't identify dirty feathers, so I have to wash these.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like detergents because that removes too much of the oil from the feathers, in my opinion. So I'll take a small amount of soap and put it in here.
Mm-hmm.
And then I will put my feathers in here, and then we'll go over and get some warm water. So I'm going to take my forceps with me, so we can have something to mix it all up. I have to be careful. I can't have the water going in too fast, or I may lose my feathers. And now I won't have it. So now I come back over here. I don't want to keep and mix all this up. Here's my brew. I don't have many feathers here, but then the washing process isn't quite as long, but then the identification may be longer. If I had lots of feathers, sometimes I spend a half a day in it just washing the feathers. This is routine you have to put up with, so you can get to the good part.
But is that fun for you? Do you like doing that?
Who would? I'll see if I can get the specimen on the screen now. Oh, there it is.
Oh, wow, that's a little piece of feather.
Yeah, that's just a small portion of that, of the down. And this is the smallest division of the feather, which are called barbules. And where they come together are little tiny spiny structures that offer a clue to which family this bird is going to belong to. The amazing part is that every group of birds has such delicate detail. That's where I get my satisfaction from this work. Every day I learn something new. Every day is exciting. You never get bored.
So now do you know what the bird was?
Well, I have an idea. Let's darken the room so we can see it a little better, and I'll go to higher magnification. It looks like it belongs in a group of vulture, or it could be an eagle. I think I have the culprit.
You do? What is it?
Well, it looks a little bit, see, the feathers are large, and they're dark, and it looks like it might be a vulture.
A vulture?
Oh, yeah, let's look at this picture here. Yeah, now you see, here's a picture of a turkey vulture in the book.
So we know for sure that it's a turkey
Well,
vulture?
not necessarily, because it might be a black vulture. So when we will go to the collection and get some specimens and check the feathers against known specimens.
So that's why the Smithsonian has such a huge collection. Any feather you get, you can compare to some real bird.
And let me see where I think the specimens we want are, no, they're in this case. Let's see. These are turkey vultures. Here's a nice specimen. That might serve.
And are we going to look at a black vulture, too?
Yes. Now we'll find... Here's some black vultures from Florida. See the difference in the color? Isn't the turkey vulture pretty?
So now we'll compare these feathers?
Yes, let's check them, see if they match either one of these birds.
Here's the whole one.
Well, that, you see, with the curve, now, it comes from, but see, it's the wrong curve for that wing.
Oh.
So we have to go to this wing.
Oh, it's just the
Yeah,
same
one
curve.
of these little wing feathers here. And we can find one, you see, it's one of these larger ones right here. And if you notice how white the base of the feather is, let's check the black vulture and see how, see, that's a dull black and doesn't have the purple iridescence that the turkey vulture has. But we'll check it at the same location. You see the feather doesn't match.
Yeah, the down in here is brown.
That's right, and the down on the turkey vulture is white.
So it was a bird like this that hit the airplane.
That's what I would say.
It's such a shame. It's such a beautiful bird. What can we do to keep this from happening to other beautiful birds?
Well, I don't know. As long as planes are flying in the air and birds are flying in the air, they're bound to have collide sometimes.
So Roxy Laybourne has solved another case.
Okay, Z. I've been reading this encyclopedia, and now I have a game for you. In this game, I show you pictures of 3 animals. You have to tell me which of the animals has the most in common with a horse, and why.
No problem.
In round 1, the contestants are a clam, a beetle, and a frog. Which one of these animals has the most in common with a horse?
It's the frog. Frogs have backbones, and so do horses. Beetles and clams don't.
You're absolutely right for 10 points.
There are points in this game?
Next up, which of these animals has the most in common with a horse? A chicken, a lizard, or a mouse?
The mouse. Mice are mammals, and so are horses. Chickens are birds, and lizards are reptiles.
Right again for 10 more points.
I knew I would be good at this game.
So far. Now, which of these mammals has the most in common with a horse? A giraffe, a rhinoceros, or a cow?
Okay, no way it's the rhinoceros. Now, a giraffe or a cow, that's a hard one. But I have to say the giraffe. It's sort of shaped the same way, and its hair is kind of the same.
Well, Z, you're wrong.
Okay, so it's the cow.
Wrong again. The rhino has the most in common with a horse. Now, for bonus points, tell me why. You have 15 seconds.
They both have manes, except for the rhino, no. They both have warty skin, except for the horse. They both have... Gee, I don't know.
Here's a hint.
They're both barefoot.
Horses and rhinos are related. They both belong to a group of animals called perissodactyls. You can tell a perissodactyl by its hooves and its odd number of toes. Horses have one toe covered with a thick nail, the hoof. Rhinos have hooves too, and 3 toes.
Another odd number.
This odd number of toes is a clue that not so long ago, horses and rhinos had an ancestor in common. And there are other animals in that group too.
Like maybe zebras. They look just like horses, except for the stripes.
But there's another weird one. Tapirs.
No way.
3 toes.
Unbelievable. Hey, Stephanie, what would I have gotten if I'd won?
What do you think, Z? 3-toed socks.
I want my hat back.
Scientists group living things according to their common features, the physical things that are alike.
When a group of living things has features in common, scientists can figure out how they are related to each other and even solve mysteries.
Grouping living things in this way is called classification.
3-to-1 Classroom Contact is a production of the Children's Television Workshop.
WSKG-TV Binghamton.
Learning new tricks. Hi, I'm Stephanie Yu. It's not every day a kid gets the royal treatment from a pig. But this is no ordinary pig. First of all, Stanley comes when he's called. Come here, Stanley. Come here. Come here. Come here. Good pig, good pig. And he's very useful around the house. He can answer the phone. And he can put trash in the wastebasket. And even put money in the bank. Stanley can do all these tricks and about 12 more because he's been trained. The easiest animals to train are mammals. Stanley's a mammal. You and I are mammals. And killer whales are mammals. That's one reason they can be trained to work at SeaWorld. Mary met some killer whales and their trainer.
I'm at SeaWorld in San Diego, California, looking for trainer Chuck Tompkins. There he is. But what's he doing? You know, you look really funny making all these gestures. What does that all mean?
I was communicating with my friend.
With this beautiful animal?
That's Shamu the killer whale.
Well, how do you communicate?
Well, just like you and I communicate by talking with one another, I have to communicate in different ways with Shamu. And the way that you just saw me communicate was through hand signals and body language.
Oh, so all those gestures were really signals.
That's right. What I have is a specific signal that I give Shamu, and he knows to do a specific behavior on that hand signal. For example, all I have to do is move my hands side to side, and Shamu knows to move his head side to side.
Oh, so when you go like this, Shamu responds and does a specific behavior.
No, see, we have to be very careful. You weren't being very specific. Your hand was flat. My finger was out, and I was moving it side by side. Now watch as I move my head up and down.
Oh, he nods his head up and down.
That's right. Now what's he do?
He's waving his fin.
That's right. So Shamu's watching me very, very closely. He knows that each hand signal I'm giving him has a specific behavior.
Well, it's really incredible that you can communicate. I mean, he's on the other side of that glass wall in the water. How does he see us?
Well, Shamu has excellent eyesight. His eyes are designed for his environment because he needs to not only see out of the water, but in the water. In his natural environment, killer whales are top predators. They eat anything and everything found in the open ocean. Polar bears, penguins, sea lions, larger whales. So they have to have that good eyesight to be able to spot these animals on beaches, ice floes, and maybe far out in the ocean.
Well, how do you get Shamu to learn which response goes with which signal?
We call that approximation training. And all that simply means is we take a very difficult behavior and break it down into very small steps. Let's say I want to teach Shamu to raise his flipper. What I would do is touch his flipper, and as soon as Shamu started to raise his flipper, I would tell him, good boy. Now, what I'd eventually do is I would touch his flipper, raise my hand. And after, through that association of the actual signal of touching the flipper and raising my arm, Shamu would start pairing that signal with that particular response.
So after a while, the whale would just respond to the hand signal and not need the touch, too.
That's right. Shamu would know that as soon as I lift my arm, that would be his signal to raise his pectoral flipper. Now, during that approximation training, we can reinforce the animal in a variety of different ways. Remember I said, tell Shamu he's a good boy? Well, there's all sorts of different ways that we can tell Shamu he's doing a good job. We can do it through rubbing the animal down. We can feed him sometimes. We can play with him. We can jump in and give him play toys. But the thing that he really enjoys the most is us rubbing him down and playing with him. I've got to get ready for the presentation. If you could do me one favor, during the show, make sure you watch and listen and watch the signals and watch the responses. But just before I go, Shamu, there's one more thing.
Well, did you see any of the signals? Let's replay the show, and I'll point them out to you. Here's the first one. When the trainer's 2 feet touch the whale's nose, that's the signal to jump out of the water. The trainer slaps the water, and the whale responds by jumping over him. This signal is done out of the water. It means go around the pool and jump. Here are 4 signals. Stay up and shake your flippers. Stop, but stay up. Nod your head. And here's the reward. Good boy. Sometimes the whale just imitates the trainer. The trainer walking tells the whale to keep turning. Touching the flipper means to keep going, but grabbing the flipper means stop.
Okay, Stanley, let's go. How did Stanley learn how to do that trick? He learned how to do it the same way you would teach any animal to do any complicated trick, by breaking the trick up into steps and then teaching each step one at a time. Step 1, learning to climb the ramp. At first he didn't catch on, but after a while he got the idea. Step 2, sliding. It looked like a long way down, but when he tried it, he liked it. Okay, now let's look at the whole trick again. And the fans are cheering. That was terrific, Stanley. The tricks that Stanley does are just for fun, but some animals are trained to help people who really need help. Robin met one of these animal helpers.
Greg Slane has a special friend, Willie.
Good girl.
About 1.5 years ago, a diving accident paralyzed Greg from the neck down. So Willie is learning how to be his arms and legs.
Door, Willie. Door, Willie. Come on. Good girl. She gets books for me. She learned how to open the TV doors so I could watch TV. And she puts a sandwich holder into the sandwich place so I could eat a sandwich if nobody was home. Good girl. Well, Willie fetches a mouth stick, which is a very important tool to me. I use it to type with, to dial a phone, to answer the phone. to turn light switches on and off. It's really mainly my hands in a way. And anytime I drop it or anything, Willie will go and pick it up for me and put it right back in my mouth.
Monkeys aren't born to be human helpers. They have to be trained, like Freeway, a student at Albert Einstein Medical College, where monkeys learn to do un-monkey-like things.
We're training monkeys like Freeway, capuchin monkeys, to be helpers for people that are paralyzed from the shoulders down, people called quadriplegics. And they do simple little tasks for them around the house. They live a good 30 years. They're very physically hardy.
Dr. M.J. Willard is an expert in animal learning.
And they're very bright.
Well, how long does it take her to learn everything?
Takes about 6 months, about an hour and a half a day.
That's not too long.
No, it's not really. Not when she's going to live for 30 years.
Well, what do you start with? What's the first thing you teach her how to do?
Well, the very first thing we do is we teach Freeway that when she hears the bell, she's done something right. And we do that by pairing, each time we ring a bell, we give her a little bit of food. Freeway loves that bell. Now, in this case, we're going to teach her to bring a container of water or juice or whatever. She puts it in a feeding tray, which will be on the quadriplegic's desk. Then she opens it. She opens it? Sure. And put a straw in. All right, now that's a hard behavior because there are several steps to it. So we're going to break it down and teach her each step. In a chain of behaviors, though, we always teach the last part of the chain first. And since the last part was putting the straw in, that's what we'll have her do first. All right, Freeway, do this. You do it. Good girl, good girl.
Here, baby.
Freeway, do this. Come on, do this. Come on. Good. Good. Straw. Good girl, good girl. She can do the whole thing. A little excited there. Now, the very last part is to put the whole chain together. That means, Freeway, you have to do this. Come on. You can do it. Good. Twist. Straw. Good girl. Very nice, Freeway. Very good. Oh, you're so fast.
After graduation, the learning doesn't stop. Have you really grown extremely dependent on Willie?
Well, right now, I'm not really dependent on her. But in the future, I could see where she'll be doing just about everything for me. Little things like getting a drink and giving me the mouth stick is important to me. Because I have to have enough liquids during the day, just like everybody else.
So you think she'll be able to eventually, you'll be able to eventually be here alone with Willie and she can do everything for you?
No problem.
It's amazing how many things you can train an animal, especially a mammal, to do. You can teach animals to do things that are fun, performing at SeaWorld, or putting money in a bank. Or you can train them to do things that help people get through the day. Which makes me wonder, Stanley, how would you like to learn how to clean my room? One Classroom Contact is a production of the Children's Television Workshop.
WSKG-TV, Binghamton.
Contact is the secret, is
of the beholder.
Jeepers, creepers, where'd you get those peepers? Jeepers, creepers, where'd you get those eyes? Gosh, oh, get up, how they get so lit up. Gosh, oh, get up, how they get that size. Golly gee, when you turn those heaters on, woe is me. Got to put my cheaters on. Jeepers, creepers, where'd you get those peepers? Oh, those weepers, how they hypnotize. Where'd you get those eyes? Get those eyes.
Hi, Stephanie. What are you up to?
Z! Just the person I needed. Great, now stand there, hold the deck now. Smile, okay, move a little to your left, right. Okay,
Just a minute. Stephanie, what's going on here?
Oh, well, I borrowed this camera with all these different lenses. I want to try them out, and I need something to photograph. It's your lucky day.
Forget it.
Oh, come on, Z.
Do you even know how to use all this stuff?
Sure, I know how to use the camera, and I know that different lenses see in different ways. I'm not quite sure what all these lenses do.
Okay, let's find out.
Okay, now stand there.
No. We should set up an experiment. We should photograph the same thing from the same place using a different lens each time. That way, we'll be able to see what each lens does. And the thing that we photograph is not going to be me.
Okay, maybe not yet.
Okay, what lens is this?
That's a telephoto lens. Let's give it a shot. Get it? Give it a shot?
Very funny. How about this one?
This one's a fisheye lens.
Oh, fisheye.
Here, you give it a shot.
Thanks. Wow. I guess fish would have to have eyes that see differently than ours to see underwater.
Yeah, when you think about it, lots of animals must have eyes that see differently than ours. They live in different places, and they have to be able to see things in different ways.
Maybe. Let's not make any snap judgments. Get it? Snap judgments?
Very funny.
Welcome to my lab, Kathy.
Christina Wall is an animal physiologist at Cornell University who spends a lot of time looking into the eyes of animals.
Here's Morris, the axolotl.
Morris?
Yes.
What's he called, an axolotl?
He's an axolotl. Notice how small his eyes are? He uses his eyes to some degree, but they're very primitive.
How come they're so far forward on his face and they kind of stick out?
Why don't you try feeding him, and I'll show you what happens.
Oh, okay. He didn't get it.
No.
He's quick,
he's
though.
Startled. There he goes. Now watch his eyes. See what he's doing with his eyes?
Oh, they move back in his
That's
head.
right. His eyes are sitting almost on top of the roof of his mouth. And when he swallows, the muscles in the back of his eyes pull the eye and push it into the roof of the mouth, and he uses that to help him swallow his food.
So his eye muscles actually help him eat on top
That's
of
right.
everything else.
That's right.
So all animals don't have to have the same kind of eyes.
That's right. They live in very different environments, and they have different requirements for vision. This is called the newt.
Well, his eyes are way over on the sides of his head.
That's right.
It doesn't look like he's looking forward.
Well, he can see forward to some degree, but he doesn't use binocular vision the way we do, who have our eyes aiming forward.
Binocular
he can
vision?
see, binocular vision is an overlap of the two fields of view so that you can judge depth. And he doesn't do too much of that.
Oh.
So he gets a good view all around him. Yes, this is a sunfish, a bluegill.
Mm-hmm.
What do
Looks
you
like
see?
there's a big clear part over his eye.
That's
almost
right.
like a bubble.
That's his cornea. We have corneas too. The outside part of the eye that protects our eyes, the cornea.
Well, it's almost like the part that I would think was his pupil sticks out.
That's his lens.
Uh-huh. Well, why does a fish have a round lens?
Because light that travels through water follows a different path than it does through the air. And that lens has to focus the light in a different way on the fish's retina.
So every different shaped lens focuses the light a little differently?
That's right. He has quite a wide field of vision. Again, from the front of his body all the way around to the side, and he can rotate his eyes, and he can see a large part of his environment all at once by being able to move his eyes like that. And because he's so thin, he can also direct both eyes towards the front, and he can get quite a good view of things happening in front of him at the same time. Now, a cat has some really special eyes. It's a hunter and hunts at dusk and when the light's very dim, so it has to have very sensitive eyes. It has to be able to detect movement and shapes when there's very little light around.
Well, is a cat's eye actually different to make it so sensitive?
Its retina is much more sensitive to light than ours, so it has to have a special mechanism to allow its iris to cut off lots of light so only a little gets in and it can still see in the daytime.
What is that mechanism?
Look at the cat's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see that its iris is a different shape than ours, and its pupil isn't round.
Yeah, its pupil is sort of long and thin.
Yes, and if I shine light into it, watch what happens.
Oh, it really closes up.
That's right. And in bright sunlight, that pupil can close down to a mere slit, and it really restricts light coming into the eye. Our eyes can close down into small circles, but not as efficiently as a cat's eye, becoming a slit. So less light will get into the cat's eye in bright sunlight. Here's a very different kind of an animal. This is a hermit crab. Hermit crabs have no backbones. Animals without backbones are called invertebrates, and animals with backbones are called vertebrates.
Then horses and dogs and cats and birds and frogs are all vertebrates because they have a backbone?
That's right. And hermit crab and flies, all the insects, clams, snails, don't have backbones, and they are invertebrates.
Oh. Well, what difference does that make with their eyes?
The eyes in these two groups have evolved very, very differently. They have a totally different structure. Look and see where his eyes are. See, they're on little stalks.
At the end of those little stalks?
The ends of these little stalks are his eyes.
Uh-huh.
The animal, instead of having one eye, which looks at the whole world outside, has many, many smaller eyes, which look at the same area.
So each little eye sees one part of the world?
That's right.
Different animals, different eyes, different lenses.
I've got the pictures back. Want to see?
Yeah. Here's the one we took with a basic lens. The lens that sees things pretty much the way we do. And here's the one with the telephoto.
The camera only picked up part of the scene, but it saw lots of details. Here's the fisheye, wide angle. This lens takes in the whole scene and more.
They look really different.
Yeah, but remember, we took them all from the same place. So when you change the lens, you really do change how you see things. We thought about the problem. We set up an experiment. Hey!
Speaking of experiments, Z, let's do another one.
In the dark?
Yeah.
Stephanie, where are you? What are you doing? Stephanie, I can't see a thing.
Exactly. But some animals can see light that we can't see. When it's dark to us, they are able to see something. So I put a film that's sensitive to a kind of light that we can't see into the camera, and I took a couple of pictures.
I wonder what those pictures will look like.
We'll just have to wait and
see what develops.
Many animals don't see the world the way we do. If we could see through their eyes, how might things look? Suppose you're a frog. You can't see much color, but that's okay, because you can see shapes in motion. What if you were a bull? If you saw red, you'd get mad, right? Wrong, because you don't see colors. But you do see movement. You can see her coming or going. Bees see differently than we do. They can even see colors people can't see, like ultraviolet. Here's a flower the way it looks to us, and the same flower as it might look to a bee. To us, to a bee. Some animals have extra sharp focus. Could you see a mouse from up here? If you were a kestrel, you could. From 200 feet up. This is a Jackson's chameleon. It can look in 2 directions at the same time. Its eyes focus independently for different side views, or both eyes can focus in the same direction for one view of, say, a light snack. Different kinds of eyes certainly have their uses.
So, Stephanie, let's see those pictures you took in the dark.
Here they are.
Wow, that's me? How'd you do that? It was pitch dark in here.
I put a film into the camera that was sensitive to a kind of light that we can't see. Infrared light. I used infrared light to take the pictures.
That's unbelievable. I mean it. I don't believe you. To take a picture, you need light. There wasn't any light shining on me.
Yes, there was. Infrared light. Just because our eyes can't see it doesn't mean it wasn't there. And I've got proof. Photographic evidence.
And I couldn't see anything.
Right. But there are animals that could, like turtles or rattlesnakes. In fact, they probably could see us in the dark because we give off infrared light. Anything that's warm gives off infrared light.
So a rattlesnake could find me in the dark? Bad news.
Yeah, and we're really going to have to watch out for that around here.
Good point. You know, Stephanie, you managed to take my picture after all.
I knew I only get one chance, so I took my best shot.
Don't worry. I got it. Different animals have different kinds of eyes.
They have different lenses, like a camera.
The lens in a fish's eye helps it to see underwater.
The lens in a hawk's eye helps it to see small prey from far away.
Different eyes see in different ways.
3-to-1 Classroom Contact is a production of the Children's Television Workshop.
To purchase video cassettes and a teacher's guide for programs in this series, call 800-228-4630.
WSKG TV, Bingham.
3, 2, 1. Contact is the secret, is the moment when everything happens. Contact. Let's make contact. 3, 2, 1. Classroom contact.
Beaver Beavers no building. Spiders no spinning. Birds no knots. How do they know that? This is a weaver bird. Every spring, male weaver birds weave nests as a way to attract female weaver birds. All these nests were made by weaver birds. How do they know how to do that? This is a mole rat. Mole rats live in underground burrows. Teams of mole rats dig new tunnels. How do they know how to do that? Of course, everybody knows beavers build dams, but it's pretty complicated. How do beavers know how to build dams? Or take this bug. It's called a leaf-rolling weevil because it folds leaves into neat packages to keep its eggs safe. How do all these animals know how to do the complicated things they do? They were born knowing how to do them. That's how. A lot of animal behavior is there from birth. It's innate. Take this mouse. What was she born knowing how to do? Sniff things, feel her way with whiskers, explore. No one had to teach her to do those things. Some animals also learn. This mouse can learn. I'm going to put her in this maze. Let's see what she does. Okay. Here you go. Yeah. She's exploring. Mice are born explorers. And she happens to find some food at the end of the maze. Now she knows it's there. Let's see what happens if we do it again. This time, let's see how long it takes her to get to the food. "56 seconds. Let's try it again. "47 seconds. 9 seconds faster this time. Way to go, Mouse." She's learning. She's learned two things. That there's a treat at the end of the maze and that there's a way to get to it. And with each try, she learns to get to it faster. This mouse is learning by trial and error, but some animals need to learn from their parents. For instance, orangutans. You might think they're born with all the skills they need for jungle survival. They are born with many innate behaviors, but in fact, they need to learn a lot too. Here's a story about some young orangutans that were separated from their mothers before they learned all their skills. They're going to need some help. That's where the people at the Orangutan Rehabilitation Center in Sabah, Malaysia come in. Miguel is at the center with Sylvia Isito. She's the first woman forest ranger in Malaysia. She's going to introduce Miguel to some of the younger orangutans.
Our main concern are the orangutans.
Oh, wow. Wait a second, we're getting in the cage?
Yes, we're getting in the cage, and I'm going to introduce you to some of them. Hello, Fuji.
They're not
Good morning
dangerous,
there.
are they?
No, they're not dangerous. Come on, Fuji. That is why people like to keep them as pets.
Oh. Well, what's so important about the orangutans?
Orangutans are endangered species, and there are about 5,000 estimated in the whole world. If we don't try to introduce them back to the wild, we couldn't increase the population because, for one thing, they don't breed in captivity. And if people keep keeping them as pets, they don't want to go back to the wild. And that is not a good way.
This guy keeps
Oh,
climbing
come
up
on,
my leg.
Fuji. That's your friend. Come on.
They're very affectionate.
Yes. Okay, come on, Fuji. Up. Fuji.
Fuji,
Come on, down. Down now. Fuji.
why is it that you want to discourage them so much from touching people?
Well, that is what we are trying to do. Because they have been kept as pets and they get so used to people that they don't even want to get back to their natural environment. That is, they don't really want to get back to their own where they belong. Orangutans are just like small kids. They need to be taught and it needs a long process.
How is it that you actually do this? How do you put them back in the wild?
We have to undergo a certain process from which we have to train them all the survival skills they need before they are being brought back or released back to the forest. And this takes a lot of time. Okay, come on, down you go. Fuji, down. She gets so attached with people. Normally what we do here is orangutans at a very tender age. We used to train them to a nearby forest. That's, we release them every morning, teach them to climb trees, encourage them.
Well, don't they already know how to climb trees? I thought all apes or monkeys knew how to climb trees from when they were young.
Well, that is what people think, but most of the orangutans that are brought to the center are usually deprived from their mothers, and since they are deprived from their mothers, they haven't learned all the skills they need or all the things they need to survive in the wild.
So they don't have any mothers, so they won't learn unless you teach them.
Yes, that is right.
Oh.
Most of them here are orphanage, and some are confiscated. Oh, look at that. Oh, there's the wheelbarrow.
Hello.
Miguel, I'd like you to meet Paimin.
Hello.
Paimin, this is Miguel.
Hello. How are you? How are you doing?
He's the caretaker for the orangutans.
I'm going to take them to the jungle. Come. I'm looking for where to go.
Okay.
Hey. Sit.
Okay, so Paimin's going to take you to the orangutans play school.
Okay.
Well, this is how we do every morning. We take them to the edge of the jungle and to let them learn how to climb and how to make nests. Do you want to take the wheelbarrow?
Oh, sure. Can I?
Every day, the young orangutans are wheeled to a play area near the edge of the jungle.
You guys get a free ride here.
Here, they grow familiar with the jungle. Orangutans know how to climb. That's innate. But they need to learn that climbing can get them away from enemies and help them find food. It's essential to their survival. The rangers spend the day with them, watching them and making sure they're okay. They bring them back to the center every night.
Okay. This is the place for them to train. The playground. Come.
Now they can go out?
Now they can go out already. Okay. Inside. Come on, Santi. Take this one. Bring up here. Oh. Okay, take Santi.
We have to show them how to do this?
Yeah, just take them and let them grab the vine and also the other person like that. Up you go.
Okay, we're out here at the edge of the jungle.
Yes.
And you've just released them. What stops them from going all the way into the jungle?
Because inside the jungle there are wild animals that can kill them, you see, and also can eat them as food. Here they can get food easily, and also they like to stay here because we give them protection. Yeah.
So you not only give them food, but you also give them protection, and that's why they always come back.
Yeah.
How long does it take before the orangutans are able to go out into the middle of the jungle and face the animals that can kill them and find their own food?
Well, for instance, like Said, it takes about 6 to 7 years to be able to stay inside the jungle and to defend himself from enemy.
6 to 7 years, that's almost like school.
Yeah, this is like school.
The last stage of the training is releasing the orangutans back to the jungle.
It's heavy, isn't it?
It's a big day, sort of like graduation day, and it doesn't happen often. But today, 2 of the orangutans are ready for release. Saeed and Santi are being taken deep into the rainforest to the feeding platform, where they will be left on their own. They'll be fed every day, but that's the only contact with people they'll have from now on.
It gets muddier,
Yeah,
but I love the mud.
I don't.
Come on, Side. There you go. That's it. Okay, Side. Come on. Straight ahead. Side. Okay. There you go.
There you go.
Oh,
So this is where you're going to leave them?
yes, this is where we're going to leave them.
They'll never go back to the rehabilitation compound again.
No, they won't go back.
So far, the center has released hundreds of orangutans back into the jungle. If their training works, Saeed and Santi will gradually stop coming to the platform to be fed. They'll learn to find food and will start families of their own, and they'll wander deeper into the rainforest. You won't believe this. We've been practicing, and I think we might have a world record here. "5 seconds. Wow. So there you have it. A mouse, a maze, amazing. Animals are born knowing how to do some things, even very complicated things. That's called innate behavior. But some animals also learn to do things. Young orangutans have to learn to survive in the wild. Three to One Classroom Contact is a production of the Children's Television Workshop.
To purchase video cassettes and a teacher's guide for programs in this series, call 800-228-4630.
This is PBS. WSKG-TV, Binghamton.
Let's make contact.
living in groups. Hey, Z, look what I've got. Dirt. And ants. You know, a lot of people think ants are just a bunch of bugs that turn up at picnics. But there's really a lot more to know about them. So I'm going to set up an ant colony.
Great, Stephanie. But in an ant colony, there are different types of ants that do different jobs. And you've only got one kind of ant here.
What do you mean?
Well, all I see are workers. You don't have a queen ant here. Queen ants are bigger and they're a different shape.
They have crowns on their heads, right?
Very funny. Look, the important thing is, without a queen, there is no colony. This is a queen ant digging a nest for a new colony. She will lay thousands of eggs, giving birth to all the other members of the colony. Her job is to lay eggs. These are worker ants. They nurse the young, maintain the nest, go out looking for food, and take care of the queen. She's the big one in the middle. The ants that do one specific job are called a caste, and each caste is a very different shape and size. Together they build, maintain, and defend the colony. Ants aren't the only insects that live this way. So do termites. They build huge nests. Here's the queen. You certainly wouldn't confuse her with any other caste of termite. Bees live in complex societies too, with queens and workers and other castes. This is a worker bee. One thing workers do is go out and gather food. They have special tongues to suck nectar and hairs on their legs that collect pollen from flowers. No other bee caste has these special features. And there's another thing worker bees are specialized to do. Mark found out about it. He's with Robert Dahl of Princeton University.
Got about 2,000 bees right here in an observation hive.
Now, what is it you're trying to do here?
Well, we're trying to figure out how the bees communicate with one another. Hey, Mark, this is the hive entrance where the bees leave and return from the field with their food. Yeah, we number usually about 100 bees in the hive, so we can tell individuals apart. We can follow one of these bees out to the feeder we have set up.
Now, how far will they go to find a flower?
Well, depends on the different races of honeybees, but the kind that we use, the Italian race, will go, I would say within 5 miles. This is the feeder that we've set out for our bees from our hive to forage at. We set it out so that we know what distance and what direction they're going.
Doesn't look much like a flower to me, but they seem to be happy with it. And what do you have inside of the bottle?
That's sugar water, just regular sugar mixed with water. It's a lot more concentrated than most nectar that they would get from flowers. About 5 times as concentrated.
How long will they feed here?
Oh, they'll only stay here about 30 seconds, perhaps as long as a minute, and they'll fill up completely with the sugar water, and then they'll head straight back to the hive. And while they're back at the hive, they'll tell the other bees where the food is so they can come out and get some too.
How?
Well, let's go see. Well, here are some of the bees that were out at the feeder coming back into the hive to bring back the food and tell the other bees where to go to find it. It's difficult, but the way the bees do it is to perform a little dance, which the other bees watch. And as a matter of fact, here's one right here. If you look a little closer, you can see that the bee is waggling her entire body as she cuts up here to the left, and then she turns around, follows the same line over again. See that? And you'll see that there are other bees which are following the dance, and they're getting the information out of the dance to tell which way to go to get to the food source.
Now, how does that wiggling tell the rest of the bees where the food source is?
There are two things that the bee has to communicate to the other bees. One of them is the direction to go in, and the other is how far to go. So you'll see that the bee, when she does this little waggle run, she'll do it time after time in the same direction. And that direction tells the other bees the direction to fly in. And in this case, you can see the bees are dancing around, let's say 45 degrees or so to the left. And so the bees that are watching the dance will go out and they see the sun and they'll fly just that amount to the left of the sun. Okay, so that tells them which direction to go in. And the way they tell how far to go is by counting the number of times that the bees waggle their abdomen back and forth.
Ah.
See? In this race of honeybees, each waggle corresponds to about 25 yards. So they'll count, I guess in this case, say 16 waggles, which is about 400 yards. So what the bees will do after they've watched the dance is they'll head out, look for the sun, go 45 degrees to the left of the sun, then they'll fly 400 yards and start looking around for a food source.
How accurate is that? Are they going to come right to the food?
Well, flowers tend to exist in fairly large patches. So there is some slop in the dance. That is, they aren't exactly 45 degrees and they aren't exactly 16 waggles each time. Sometimes it'll be 15, sometimes 18, back and forth like that. So that any bee that is watching has an idea of what area to look in, rather than what exact spot. So she'll fly out, do these little calculations, figure how many degrees, how far to go, and then she flies out there and looks around in that general area.
It's hard to count those waggles, though. I'd have to be a bee to do that.
Yeah.
Ants and bees live in such complex societies. What about other animals? Do they live in groups like that?
Most animals don't live in groups at all. They're loners.
Oh yeah, bears live alone.
And tigers. But some animals do live in groups, like wildebeest that just all hang out together in a herd.
Some fish hang out together too, in schools.
Then there are animals that live in groups almost like a family, where each member has a relationship with the other members, like elephants.
Or baboons.
This is Amboseli National Park in southern Kenya. It's just after dawn, and lots of animals are on the move. They're looking for food and water on the hot plains. Many mammals live here. Most are social animals. That means they live in groups. There's real safety in numbers. It's harder to get caught by animals that hunt if you're part of a very big group. But you have to learn to live with lots of other animals, and that's not always so easy. In fact, scientists come here to study a process called socialization, how animals learn to live together. Jean Altman comes to Kenya several times a year, all the way from Chicago, where she's a teacher. She studies a kind of monkey, the baboon. Baboons live in big families. The problem is that if you're a young baboon, you have to get along with all the other baboons in your family. That's what Jean and her assistants are studying, how baby baboons learn to live with the rest of their group. Baboons spend their nights in trees. It's safer than sleeping on the ground, where predators like lions and leopards could catch them in the dark. But the first thing they do after waking up is to climb down to eat.
Jean, I think I counted about 45. Is this a big group?
A little larger than usual, but not really huge. Sometimes groups get a lot larger. There's some groups that are as small as 8 or 10. That's unusual, and then some that can get over 100. Around 40, 50 is about an average. And you've got everything from real little kids that like we see bouncing around to other animals that are about 18, 19, 20 years old, all in the same group.
What's your purpose in being out here?
I mean, besides enjoying it?
Really? Why have you spent your days watching baboons?
Well, it's a real puzzle. We want to understand what their environment is, what their social environment is, what their foods and the weather and the other things they're confronted with, and then learn how they face that environment, how they deal with it, how well they cope.
After eating near the trees, the baboons head out to other parts of their home range.
Tom, let's move off after them. They're moving quite rapidly now.
Why are they moving off so quickly? One minute they seem to be eating and foraging and okay and settled, and the next they're moving, they're off.
Somebody seems to just get up and decide to go, and sometimes it's one animal and sometimes another, and you think that they're just all doing their own thing. But when one gets up and goes, often all the others will get up and go too, and they'll go from seeming to be all independent to the whole group moving together.
Do they follow one particular individual?
No, not regularly, although when there's some really tense decision time, sometimes one of the elderly females seems to be the one that's followed. Other times it can seem to be an adult male or an adult female. Sometimes even some of the youngsters will finish feeding and moving out first.
Mammals have a lot to learn, and they have a long childhood in which to do it. And like human children, young baboons learn not just from their parents and adults, but from other baboons the same age. That sometimes means learning the ropes the hard way. At the end of the day, all the baboons head toward the trees, where they'll spend the night.
You know, they've had a really long day. They've been feeding for most of the day, walking several miles, and they're really tired now. They're heading for this grove of trees where they'll spend the night.
Is this their home? Do they always come back to these trees?
Well, not just to these trees. They have about a dozen places that they go to, and this is just one of them, but it is one of their favorites, and it's rather nice right now because they do also have food in these trees. So they'll do a little feeding, and then they'll go to sleep for the night.
Well, they sure have good timing, because I'm beat too.
Right, me too.
Most animals live alone, but lots of animals live in groups. In insect societies, the different castes do different jobs. For instance, worker bees can tell other worker bees where to find food. Some animals live in groups where each member has a relationship with the other members. Young baboons have to learn how to get along in their group.
3-2-1 Classroom Contact is a production of the Children's Television Workshop.
To purchase video cassettes and a teacher's guide for programs in this series, call 800-228-4630.
This is PBS.
When everything happens kind
winging it.
Finally, after only 150 million years of evolution. Different wings for different things. The hummingbird wing hovers like a helicopter and beats at 60 beats per second. Short wings for fast flat and easy getaways. Featherless wings for the lightweight. Long, broad wings for effortless soaring over land.
Long, slender wings for soaring over water.
With long wings, one can
Try and catch a casual meal.
hang out with friends.
Or just soar above it all.
Different wings for different things.
I don't know if you noticed, but clams don't fly. Neither do snakes or polar bears. They're not built for it. They don't have wings. Wings are standard equipment for flying animals. Take birds, for instance. There are 9,000 species of birds, and they all have wings. And they're flying mammals, bats. 875 species, and they all have wings. Of course, birds and bats are very different animals, but they do have something in common besides wings. Birds and bats have backbones. There's only one other kind of animal with a backbone and wings. But this animal hasn't been around for a long, long time. It's a flying reptile. The pterodactyl. David found out more about it. Flying animal number 1, pterodactyls.
This is a full-scale model of a flying animal that lived over 60 million years ago. The people at AeroVironment in California have already gotten a model half this size to fly. The animal is a pterodactyl. Now, not much is known about it, except for the fact that it wasn't a bird, and yet it flew. And it was big.
How do you know it flew? Well, luckily, they found complete skeletons of about a dozen young pterodactyls, and there's really no doubt that these are the bones of a flying animal. These long, thin, lightweight bones are comparable to those found today in birds and bats. And this would be the long tipped bone near the end of the wings. An animal equipped with 36-foot span wings certainly flew. On this drawing, you can see these are the shoulder bones right here, and this is the shoulder bone of the giant pterodactyl.
How much did it weigh?
Well, the paleontologists speculate that it weighed at least 150 to 200 pounds, but of course it could have weighed much more than that. And this makes it by far the largest flying animal known to have existed.
Scientists have found over 90 species of pterodactyls. Some big, some small, all flyers. 65 million years ago, they might have been as common as bats are today. Flying animal number 2, bats.
I'm at York University in Toronto, Canada, with biologist Brock Fenton.
Wow, it's really small. Can I hold it?
Certainly. Now, this is a big brown bat.
I always thought that bats were a lot bigger than this.
Well, there are over 900 species of bats, and some are a lot bigger. And of course, many bats are much, much smaller than this. So that these animals, of course, look much larger when they're flying because they need a large wing area to support their body as they're flying. I think I can make him look a lot bigger if we just spread his wings. Then all of a sudden you see that the animal is mainly wings and that the wings are very large.
You could also see how small the body is as compared to the wing.
That's true, and you also should notice that the hind legs are part of the wing and that the tail is also enclosed by the wing membrane.
Under there?
Yeah. I think we should let her cold up. They really, as I say, bats just don't like being held like that with their wings spread.
Is it important for flight that the body is so small?
Oh, yeah. There has to be light, and the weight is all centered in the middle, so that if you were to look at a skinned bat, enormous chest and shoulder muscles and almost nothing, you know, no hips to speak of at all.
Well,
Flying animal number 3, birds. Birds are great flyers, but sometimes taking to the wing takes a little practice.
Whether you're illegal or robbing or a seagull, trying to survive, gotta get food and stay with your brood and take to the sky, trying to fly, oh, 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 trying to fly, let go of the branch, come on, take a chance and take to the sky. I'm going nowhere. Somebody help me. Somebody help me, please. I'm going nowhere. Somebody help me, please. I'm trying to fly.
One way to find out about flying is to watch a few birds in action. That's a hawk. Hawks are called raptors, birds of prey. The Minnesota woods is a good place to find them. There was something wrong with this one.
What's the matter? What's the matter?
I called the Raptor Rehab Center at the University of Minnesota. They said they'd send someone right away.
Hi, I'm Kathy. I'm the one who called. I'm Laura. I'm from the center. Okay, I found down.
Laura's a graduate student in wildlife biology. She handles emergencies like this all the time.
Okay, where is she? She's right over here.
Okay.
Here she is.
Wait, just a second.
Okay. Do you think she'll be all right?
Well, I really don't know. We'll have to do a complete physical, take her back to the center and see what's wrong.
Oh, she's so beautiful. He's breathing really fast. Does that mean she's upset?
Yeah, she could be, because she's not used to being handled in the wild.
Wing is so big compared to what it looks like folded up. This is the bad wing, right?
Oh, there's a break here, right near the joint.
And do you think it's just this wing that's got a fracture or something?
I think that's probably the main problem there. We'll probably need to take an X-ray to correctly evaluate what's going on in this ring.
Can you fix the wing? Will she probably be okay?
Just fine. Okay, well, here's the X-ray of the bird that we just had on the table. You can see the bones, the outlines of the bones in the bird's body. If you look at this, you can see here's the bird's head, the neck, the wings, here on either side, and the legs. And if you look kind of close, you can see that their wings are similar to our arms. Here is the single bone by our shoulder, which is the humerus, which is right here.
So, from my shoulder to my elbow is the humerus?
Mm-hmm. And then this is the elbow, and these are the two bones in our forearm. And then here is our wrist. And these are the digits in our fingers, but only they're elongated, so that the feathers, the primary feathers, can be attached to them.
So their bones are just like our bones?
Well, not really. Because they're a flying machine, they need to be light. And their bones are thinner walled and hollow. And they have small bone structures that give the internal bone more support, so that it's sturdier on landings and takeoffs, but it's lightweight for flying.
I see.
Okay, let's see if we can find the break. You think you can see it there?
There it is.
Okay, good. See, and where the break is it's right next to another bone of the body.
So, it's broken right about here.
Mm-hmm. Near the joint. And what we can do now, instead of going in and putting a pin in, is using this as the natural splint. So, probably the best thing to do now is go ahead and wrap up that wing and get the bird healthy.
Okay, what can I do?
All right, what I'm going to do is...
When a bird's well enough to fly again, they release it back into the wild.
Real slow now. Let me just take a look inside and see where he is.
Laura had another raptor, an eagle, that was really anxious to get going.
Okay, now get it out, quick. There she goes, all right.
Pterodactyls, bats, and birds have a lot in common. They all have a backbone and wings. But there's more to it than that. They all have 4 limbs, like people. You might say, whoa, Steph, we have fingers and arms. They have wings. Let me show you what our skeleton looks like. Fingers, arms, everything is all there. Now, what would have to change to give me some bat wings? Not much. First, my finger bones have to get longer. And my arm gets shorter. Cover with a thin gray skin, and you have a bat wing. Don't look like myself today, do I? Now for the pterodactyl. You might think reptiles have to be really different, but their wings are made out of the same parts. Really shorten the arm. Let's pull in those fingers, except for the pinky and the 4th finger. Mold them together and make them real long. Slap on some skin, and you have a pair of pterodactyl wings. How about a bird? Maybe a duck. The hand changes a lot, but the arm bones are a lot like ours. See? It's still the same stuff. Cover with skin, then feathers. Stephanie the duck. There are, of course, a few problems with this. No more video games, you can forget about playing the piano, and eating is going to be a real challenge. I think I'd just rather be me. Birds fly. Bats fly. And there was once a kind of flying reptile, the pterodactyl. Birds, bats, and pterodactyls have something in common besides wings. They all have 4 limbs and a backbone. And so do people. 3-to-1 Classroom Contact is a production of the Children's Television Workshop.
To purchase video cassettes and a teacher's guide for programs in this series, call 800-228-4630.
This is PBS.
WSKG-TV, Binghamton.
inside story.
Some animals eat plants. They're herbivores, herbivores.
Some animals eat meat. They're carnivores, carnivores.
Some animals eat both meat and plants. They're omnivores, omnivores. What do people have in common with skunks and raccoons, with bears and baboons? We are omnivores because we eat plants and meat. Herbivores eat plants. Carnivores eat meat. They eat meat, and omnivores eat it all.
Excuse me for digesting in front of you, but as soon as you take a bite of food, even before you swallow, you start digesting. The first part of digestion is breaking down the food and mixing it up with saliva. That's what teeth do. Different kinds of teeth break down different kinds of food. David will show you what I mean.
Different animals have different teeth, and different teeth do different jobs. We can see just how different teeth can be by looking at the skulls of some dead animals. This is a coyote. See the rows of sharp, pointed teeth? They're for cutting and tearing food. These front teeth, these long and sharp ones, they're called canines. The jaw works like this, up and down. This is the skull of a beaver. A beaver uses his teeth to chew wood and make dams. The front teeth, the incisors, are long and sharp and orange. The beaver grinds its food like this. And this is the skull of a horse. Horses eat mostly grass, and grass is very tough. So, horses have big, flat, wide teeth for grinding and shredding. See this hole here? Horses don't have any canines, like animals that eat meat do. Like the lion. And this is the skull of a lion. Look at this. The front teeth are like fangs for catching food, not chewing it. The teeth on the side, though, are for chewing, for cutting and tearing. See how they overlap? They work like scissors, like this. And this is a human skull. Now, we eat all different kinds of food, so we have different kinds of teeth. Incisors, sharp for cutting, like a knife. Canine, pointed for tearing, like a fork. Bicuspids, for crushing and cracking, like a nutcracker. And molars for grinding and mashing. Different teeth for different jobs.
After food is broken down by the teeth, it goes to the stomach, where chemicals break it down even further. Different chemicals break down different foods. Now, say this is your stomach. First, I'm going to pour in some water. There is always some water in your stomach. Water is one of the chemicals that helps your stomach digest food. And now, I'll lower a sugar cube into the water. Sugar dissolves very easily in water. See? Goodbye, candy. And now, I'll try to dissolve this piece of potato. nothing happens. That's because starch, which is what a potato is made of, doesn't dissolve in just water. It takes a chemical produced by your digestive system, an enzyme. So, I add this enzyme. And goodbye, French fry. Great. Now let's try some protein, like meat. But first, I'm going to put some gloves on. We're going to have to add another enzyme and some acid. The enzyme and acid are dissolving the meat. By the way, the food doesn't just sit here during all this. The stomach churns and moves around and sometimes makes a lot of gurgling noises. And of course, digestion doesn't happen quite this fast in your body. Ta-da! And that's basically how your stomach dissolves different kinds of food with different kinds of chemicals or enzymes. The stomach isn't the only organ that digests food. There is a whole digestive system working to break down your food even more. Then it can be absorbed into your body.
Okay.
Ron Rochon is a scientist who studies animals.
This is the digestive tract of the pig, all right? Now, the reason we're going to use the digestive tract of the pig because it's very similar to our own digestive tract, all right? And what we want to do is just illustrate what's happening to our food as it breaks down and we get vitamins and nutrients from it, right? Okay? So what we're going to do first is just go through the whole tract, just get an idea of what is what, okay? All right. This right here is the esophagus, okay? All right, just like our throat, okay? The pig chews his food really well and mixes up real good. And as he starts to swallow his food, muscular contractions allow the food to work down the esophagus. And from the esophagus, like we just said, the food goes directly into the stomach. Right here, this whole entire structure, this bat-like structure. Touch it right quick. Yeah. How's it feel? Know what? You want to touch it? Okay, all right.
It's like Jello.
Yeah. The stomach feels like a spongy type of structure, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's very strong, yeah. So it's a bag-like structure, which is important because it stores all our food and mixes it really well. And one very interesting part about the stomach is that most people think that digestion takes place right here at the stomach. And this is not necessarily true. Some digestion takes place, but the main digestion takes place later on in the tract, which we'll get to a little bit later. So the stomach starts right here then, okay? All right, food goes in from the esophagus, like we said, at the beginning, okay? And works all the way down around, all right, till it gets to this part right here. Which is the pylorus area, okay? And this right here is very important because this area actually controls the release of food going into the small intestine.
So if you didn't have this piece, the food would just go straight from the stomach?
Yeah, and we need this area. We need this important structure so that our food can be released in a systematic way, all right? And so we go from the pyloric region, and here we have the pancreas area.
This small part.
Beautiful, right here.
Yeah.
All of this is pancreatic region.
What
Okay?
does the pancreas do?
Okay, pancreas will provide important enzymes and juices which will enable the breakdown of the food that the pig eats. Right here we have the gallbladder, and from the gallbladder we get bile, okay? Digestive juices which enter from this point into the small intestine, which are necessary for the breakdown of the food that the pig is eating. So we're receiving juices that are coming from the gallbladder, and also juices that are coming from the pancreas.
Do the juices from the pancreas and the gallbladder mix together and go into the small intestines?
Exactly. The juices go directly into the small intestines, and that will enable the breakdown of those large particles, those large food particles, into smaller food particles, so that absorption can take place, and we can, get nutrients and vitamins and things like that from the food that we eat.
How long does this food stay in the small intestine?
Well, food can stay in the small intestine anywhere from a 8 to 12-hour period.
How long does it stay in the human small intestine?
Very good question. Even though we eat different things than pigs eat, the food in our small intestines will stay in there approximately the same amount of time, anywhere from 8 to 12 hours. So the most important part of the digestive tract is the small intestine. It's here that the nutrients which are needed are absorbed through the small intestine into the body.
What happens when the food leaves the small intestine?
Well, whatever food isn't digested by the small intestine will then enter into the large intestine.
It's this part right here?
This entire region right here is the large intestine. And what takes place around this area is that water absorption will take place through the large intestine back into the pig's body. And this will enable the drying processes of the food material that wasn't digested to enter into the rectal area of the pig, all right? This is where the feces are located, right in the rectum area, and after everything's ready to be excreted.
How much time does the whole process take, from eating to the excretion of the feces?
The whole process could take anywhere from a day to a day and a half.
Just like a human?
Yeah, the digestive process is taking place just like it does in a human being.
What does the stomach look like inside?
Inside? Well, let's cut open and find out, okay? Okay. Yeah, and look at that. Pretty interesting, huh? Okay. So this is the inside of the stomach. Everybody wanted to know how it looked inside. And look what we have. We have some undigested food, which hasn't started to move down the small intestines yet.
Is it yellow because the pig eats a lot of grass?
No, well, this pig was on a corn diet.
What does it look like inside the small intestine?
Let's open up the small intestines and find out. And here we go.
It looks much more broken down. It looks much less coarse than the other one did.
You notice that, everybody? Everybody notice that? You see how? You see how the food particles are being broken down now? The difference in contacts between here and here?
Yeah.
So we know that the nutrients are being absorbed through the small intestine into the animal's body. Everybody want to see the gallbladder?
Yeah.
Contents? Okay, well, what we'll do, let's cut right around the duct area, like so, okay? And then if we squeeze, we can see juices coming out, see?
Yes. Those are the digestive juices.
Yeah. It's the bile coming out. They go into the small intestine.
And then help with the digestion.
Yeah, helps break down the fats. So here we go, guys. This is the entire digestive tract right here. Many organs working together in a systematic way so that the animal can digest food and get the proper nutrients which are needed for survival.
Well, I may not be working very hard, but my digestive system is. Just like the insides of a pig, the insides of you and me are constantly taking food and breaking it down. This means work for our teeth, a bunch of different chemicals, and the rest of our digestive system. Bon digestion. 3-2-1 Classroom Contact is a production of the Children's Television Workshop.
To purchase video cassettes and a teacher's guide for programs in this series, call 800-228-4630.
This is PBS.
WSKG-TV, Binghamton.
Life Down Under. I'm Stephanie Yu. And here's Australia, halfway around the world from us. We're going to be visiting Australia today. Well, actually, David will be visiting. David found out that there's some very interesting animals there because of the way Australia was formed millions and millions of years ago.
When you think of Australia, you think of unusual animals, right? Animals like the kangaroo, the platypus, and the koala. But did you ever wonder how it happens that those animals live only in Australia and nowhere else in the world? Well, there are a few reasons. Australia is a continent, a large mass of land, but it's surrounded by water, so it's also an island. Australia is an island continent. And that means that the animals that live there can't get off, and animals that don't live there can't get on. But Australia wasn't always set off from the rest of the world. Millions and millions and millions of years ago, about 150 million years ago, when dinosaurs were still around, Australia was connected to Africa, South America, Antarctica, India. And Australia fit in right about here. What was this huge continent called? It wasn't called anything because there weren't any people around. People weren't even invented yet. But today, scientists call it Gondwana Land, an ancient continent. Gondwana Land.
About 150 million years ago, Gondwana Land started to break up in pieces. The first piece of land to separate slowly drifted to the northeast and became the continent we know today as Africa. The next piece of land to split off was India. It drifted north until it collided with Asia. Many millions of years later, South America, Australia, and Antarctica went their separate ways. And the continents are still moving today at a rate of a few centimeters a year. Where will they be in another 50 million years? Wait and see. A giant flightless bird once roamed Gondwana Land. As the continents drifted to different locations, animals all over the world were adapting to their new environments. This giant bird evolved into the 3 large birds that live on different continents today. The emu of Australia, the rhea of South America, and the ostrich of Africa. Even after the big split, all the continents except Australia remained connected to each other in some way for a time. So animals living everywhere but Australia were free to move from continent to continent. Meanwhile, Australian animals, isolated from the rest of the world, evolved in their own special ways.
Here's a quiz. A marsupial is A, a kind of marshmallow soup, B, a small zoo found on the planet Mars, C, an animal group found in Australia. The answer is C, an animal group found in Australia. Marsupials, not a kind of soup, a kind of mammal. It's easy to recognize a marsupial. Almost all of them have pouches, which are used to carry around young marsupials, like a built-in backpack, except it's a front pack.
Okay, David, these are red kangaroos. You can see the large orangey coloured ones are the male kangaroos. And these ones just in front here, the greyer coloured ones are the females.
They'd have the pouches, right?
That's right, yeah. Only the females have pouches. A lot of people get confused when you say marsupial. They think all of the kangaroos have pouches, but only the females. And the pouches are for the developing young to develop in.
They're called joeys, right? That when they're in the...
That's right, yeah. The young ones are called joeys.
Now, when do they leave the pouch?
They leave the pouch for the first time when they're about 6, 7 months old. And they go in and out of the pouch till they're about 9 months old. Then after 9 months, they're still dependent on the mother. They have to drink milk from the pouch, so they put their head into the pouch and drink from the mother. But they're too big to get into the pouch, and she'll stop them getting back in. But they'll still stay with her till they're about 12 months old.
They seem to be walking, too. They don't walk, they hop, right?
No, they can walk as well. When they're going slowly, you can see they put their front paws down and their tail down. They put all the weight on the tail and the front paws and bring those heavy hind legs forward. And then when they get the hind legs on the ground, they can then move forward again on their front paws.
But it looks like they move all forward at the same time. I mean, they move the two front and then the two back.
That's right.
They don't use them independently.
No, they can't. They can't. And if they find it very difficult to move backwards, they'll sit back on their tail, but they can't move in reverse.
To balance themselves.
That's right, yeah.
How long have they been around?
For millions of years.
Big feet. And only in Australia.
Are a family with lots of variety. We are unusual. We are marsupial.
Koala.
Kangaroo. Possum.
Bandicoot.
Wombat. And wallaby. We are a family with lots of variety. We are unusual. We are marsupial.
We are special mammals, over 200 different kinds.
More than 50 kinds of kangaroo.
Gray,
Red,
desert rat,
to name a few. We are a family with lots of variety. We are unusual. We are marsupial. We are a family with lots of variety. We are unusual.
If you think the marsupials are unusual, wait till you see the monotremes, the only mammals that lay eggs instead of having live babies. My favorite monotreme, the platypus.
The platypus, a rare and strange animal. It has a broad tail, like a beaver, a bill and webbed feet, like a duck, and fur, like a cat. The platypus is so unusual that when early explorers who came to Australia went back home and described it, no one believed them. Today, scientists work to protect this special mammal. It's late afternoon, and Michelle and I are on the Murrumbidgee River with Keith Williams and Terry Rutzow, wildlife biologists who study these animals and check them regularly. But to study a platypus, you have to find one.
Back up. Oh, I get it. Right, take it back.
What?
Yep.
How long has it been?
It's about 30 meters.
The platypus has been around for millions of years. They only live in the fresh waters of eastern Australia, and there aren't many of them. The net is in place. Now we wait. "8:30 p.m. Still no sign of a platypus. We have to keep a close watch on the nets. If the corks begin to move, we'll know we've caught something. 11 p.m. Finally, we caught one.
Platypus. There we go.
It's got to be there in front of you,
Got it.
Keith.
Oh, there's Michelle. I got it. David, right? Good. Over here, bring that bucket up. That's it.
It's definitely a platypus.
Watch out, be careful.
Those are the poisonous ones, aren't
Yeah, there we go.
Oh.
Look at him. There he goes. Now we have our platypus. We'll put him back soon, but we have to wait till daylight to examine him. Sunrise the next morning. The cows are awake, and so is the platypus. Can it breathe underwater?
No, it can't. It's an air-breathing mammal, and it's can only stay underwater for about a minute to a minute and a half, and in that time it has to gather its food, and it puts it into the cheek pouches and comes to the surface, rests on the surface, and grinds it up. The bill itself is very sensitive. It's got hundreds of nerve endings on the bill itself, and particularly around this front margin.
Why is that?
And well, it's so that it can pick up its food source, know where it is when it gets underwater. It goes down underwater and it swoops from side to side like that along the bottom, and it doesn't actually have to contact its food. What it does is gets nearby and it picks up the electrical impulses generated by the prey items, and it can snap them up and
like a little radar
yeah,
system.
That's right. It tucks it into the cheek pouches, comes up to the surface, rests on the surface, and chews it up and swallows it.
How do they move around?
Well, they walk around on land, particularly on the front feet there. They just tuck their the webs back and run along. But in the water, they rest on the surface, I say, when they're feeding, and then they dive, and they swim with the front feet, which is pretty unusual for aquatic mammals. It's the only aquatic mammal, in fact, that swims using its front feet. All the others use their hind feet.
It really looks like a whole bunch of different animals. It's got fur like a cat. I don't know. It's got webbed feet like a duck, and the back of it looks like a beaver.
Superficially, that's true, but it's very much a platypus. It's it has this very thick insulating fur, which is essential for a mammal that lives in the water. Spends up to 70% of its time in the water, and its tail certainly isn't like that of a beaver. The beaver uses its tail for swimming and for other functions. The platypus's tail is really just more like a rudder, and just as back feet are, use them to steer a bit, and also as it's an important storage area for storage of fat.
Pretty big. Then they put a numbered band on his leg. The band is an identification tag. Once these animals were shot and trapped for their fur. Today, they're being protected. It was time to let him go, but Keith and Terry would be checking on him again. Bye, mate.
See you later.
Australia, home of some very unusual animals. Because Australia became isolated millions of years ago, there are animals that live only in Australia, like koalas, kangaroos, and platypuses, all unusual animals, all only in Australia. 3-to-1 Classroom Contact is a production of the Children's Television Workshop.
To purchase video cassettes and a teacher's guide for programs in this series, call 800-228-4630.
This is PBS.
WSKG-TV.